Hi, and welcome to 647. 6 stories for 7 a.m. because there's a famine of truth in our land, and this is your quick news fix. And the truth starts now. And what day is it? I know, it's Friday, and it's Open Line Friday, but you don't get to call in. I open the line to God Jehovah, and I ask him, please, please keep me on the straight and narrow on these stories. Don't let me go off. Don't let this thing turn into a half hour. Let's see if that prayer gets answered. All right, take one. Slick's CDL giveaway. That's right. We're out in California with Slick, the guy who just can't get it right no matter what he does, but he always looks good doing it. California will revoke 17,000 commercial driver's licenses for immigrants after finding that the expiration dates were past the end of their visas. Who knew? State officials made the announcement on Wednesday after the Trump administration criticized California for issuing driver's licenses to illegal immigrants. The issue of migrants having a commercial driver's license follows a car crash involving an illegal immigrant truck driver killed 3 people last month in California, and another illegal immigrant who received one from California causing a crash in Florida in August that killed 3 people. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said, after weeks of claiming they did nothing wrong, Slick and California have been caught red-handed. Now that we've exposed their lies, 17,000 illegally issued trucking licenses are being revoked. That's a CDL. For you who love acronyms, this is just the tip of the iceberg. CDL means commercial driver's license. My team will continue to force California to prove they have removed every illegal immigrant from behind the wheel of semi-trucks and school buses. Listen, you got to love Sean Duffy. This is a nightmare he inherited, and he is doing a great job. Can you imagine if we had 4 more years of Buttigieg? Right. They'd probably have another kid. He'd be on maternity leave. What an insane world we were in back then. Go ahead, Sean. Close those clowns down out there. Take 2. Illegals do the jobs Americans won't do. Attorney General Ken Paxton arrested illegal alien who stole Texas child's identity and Medicaid benefits. Identity theft for kids now. It's a thing. Attorney General Ken Paxton announced the arrest of Antonio de Jesus Moreno Escobar. At least he had a great name, right? An illegal alien who stole the identity of a Texas minor, which caused the child to lose access to critical Medicaid health care benefits. Escobar is currently being held on an ICE detainer. This case is a disturbing example of how illegal aliens drain our resources, hurt innocent Texans, and even deprive children of vital health care, said Attorney General Paxton, who, by the way, is running for the Senate and would be great. He's not a rhino. My office will ensure that illegal aliens who exploit our systems and target our families face the full force of the law. Escobar purchased falsified documents for just $120, which included, must have been a sale, Social Security number, Texas ID card, a fraudulent green card. He then used the identity of a then 13-year-old boy from Hutto, Texas, to gain employment at 7 separate businesses across the greater Houston area over a 3-year period. The scheme was discovered when the victim's mother received notification that her son's Medicaid coverage was being terminated due to income fraudulently reported in his name. Since 2020, The MFCU, that's the Medicare Fraud Control Unit, has recovered more than $1 billion in settlements, judgments, and restitution for Texas taxpayers. The MFCU receives 75% of its funding from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. That's under Bobby Kennedy Jr., under a grant awarded totaling almost $23 million for 2024. The remaining 25% was $8 million roughly is funded by the state of Texas. So basically, they're spending $30 million over 5 years to collect $1 billion. Don't you wish all government programs operated this way? Okay? This is great what they're doing, but we got to get all these illegal immigrants out. Okay? Ignore the legacy media. They're going to find the grandma that's been here for 30 years, never caused a problem, and they're going to get all the crying photos of the family being pulled apart. The laws of the law, right? So, take 3. Fang Fang's boy toy plays tough guy. Are you on that? Do you know what I'm talking about? Fang Fang's boy toy? You will. Trump official refers Representative Eric Swalwell for a federal criminal probe over alleged mortgage fraud. This is so funny the way this is going down. These Democrats cheat like hell on everything, right? And so the Trump DOJ is not going after the big stuff. They're catching them on the small stuff. And then that allows them access to everything else. It's absolutely hysterical. A top housing official in President Donald Trump's administration has referred California Democrat Rep. Eric Swalwell to the Justice Department for a potential Fang Fang federal criminal probe based on allegations of mortgage and tax fraud related to a Washington, D.C. home, according to a person familiar with the referral. Now, just in case nobody's catching on to the Fang Fang jokes, I mean, I had a Karine Jean-Pierre thing last week. Nobody got it. Right? What's that ventriloquist? He goes right over your heads. Gone. Right? What are we talking about, Fang Fang? Fang Fang was Swalwell's girlfriend. She was a Chinese honeypot spy, and he was with her for years, and he gave it all up to her, right? Such a dope. Should be in jail for it. And who knows where poor Fang Fang is now after having to be with that clown. All right. Poor Fang Fang. So it's a criminal probe based on allegations of mortgage, tax fraud related to Washington, D.C. home, right? According to a person familiar with the referral. He is the 4th Democrat official to face mortgage fraud allegations in recent months. Bill Pulte, the 50-year mortgage magician, the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, alleged in a letter sent to Attorney General Pam Bondi on Wednesday that Swalwell may have made false or misleading statements in loan documents. The matter is also referred to the agency's acting inspector general. This person said, as the most vocal critic of Donald Trump over the last decade, and as the only person who still has a surviving lawsuit against him, the only thing I'm surprised about is that it took him this long to come after me. That's Swalwell, playing tough guy. Like James Coney and John Bolton, Adam Schiff and Lisa Cook and Letitia James and the dozens more to come. I refuse to live in fear in what was once the freest country in the world. I want Fang Fang. Of course I will not end my lawsuit against him, and I will not stop speaking out against the president and speaking up for Californians. What a dope. All right. Take 4. GM wants parts makers to pull supply chains from China. Yeah. I don't know what the Orange Roughie did, but they're responding. These guys, they'd get in bed with China all day if it made them more money. So it's something Trump's doing. General Motors, GM, has directed several thousand of its suppliers to scrub their supply chains of parts from China. Four people familiar with the matter said, reflecting automakers' growing frustration over geopolitical disruptions to their operations. What patriots? China is our existential threat. And these guys are going, we don't want our disruptions to our operations. Man, has everybody got the Swalwell problem? GM executives have been telling suppliers they should find alternatives to China for their raw materials and parts, with the goal of eventually moving their supply chains out of the country entirely, the people said. The automaker has set a 2027 deadline for some suppliers to dissolve their China sourcing ties, some of the sources said. GM approached some suppliers with the directive in late 2024, but the effort took on fresh urgency this past spring. I bet it did, during the early days of an escalating U.S.-China trade battle. GM executives have said it is part of a broader strategy to improve the company's supply chain resiliency. Listen, GM's run by a mad woman, and she can't suck up to the left enough. She was all in on electric vehicles. They got burned for billions on that, but they've been taking all this government money in. They're not running like a real business. That's why they're pouting about being patriotic. All right, take 5. She don't lie. What is this about? Oh, this, now I get it. This story needs an Eric Clapton intro, right? And I don't play the guitar, but you may remember this song. If you want to go out, you gotta take her out, cocaine. And if you wanna get down, down on the ground, cocaine. She don't lie, she don't lie, she don't lie. Cocaine. All right, that's enough of that. 13 tons of cocaine headed for the U.S. seized from Ferry in Pacific. It wasn't Obama. It was an actual ferry crossing the Pacific towards the United States from Colombia. Panamanian authorities announced that they have arrested 10 people and seized about 13.2 tons of cocaine, a U.S.-bound ferry in the Pacific on Monday. Prosecutor Julio Villarreal said the operation was one of the biggest in Panamanian waters to date, telling reporters on Tuesday that the 13 tons of cocaine were, the 13 tons of drugs were cocaine. Why do I say that stuff? Cocaine is the thing that lights this story up. The prosecutor's office added that during the interception, which occurred southwest of San Jose Island, 10 people of different nationalities were apprehended. Villarreal explained that Venezuelans, Ecuadorians, and Nicaraguans were among those arrested from the ferry, which was headed to the United States from Colombia. All right, so listen, Trump, you don't have to blow them up and then all the fish are high for a day and a half. Look at this, 13 tons of cocaine. Somebody's going to put that to good use. You should look at the picture. It's 11,562 boxes, right? Good sized boxes, like you get a box of grapefruit, all wrapped in white plastic. It looks like Arlington Cemetery. There's so many of them laid out there. Wow, what a photo op, man. And that's only what they catch. Who's using all this cocaine in the United States? Talk about an underground market. All right, take 6. Well, this is an arms study again. It's a migratory study. It took me back to my first day at college in Indiana University. I'm an 18-year-old punk standing in a giant field house forever in line. I get up the front of the line and go, yeah, we can't process anything until you pick a major. I'm like, pick a major? What are you talking about? I'm 18. I just got out of high school. I don't know what I want. Well, you have to pick a major. We can't do your registration. Well, where's the list of the hand me a book. I got to go stand over in a corner and look at this thing. So I come back like a smartass and say, yeah, I'm going to pick ornithology. If you think I knew it was something about birds, but I didn't know. So this story, if I had taken that track and become an ornithologist, would be about the migratory study of the blue-haired Karen, right? A relative of the great blue heron. This is the blue-haired Karen. But since I didn't take that major, and John Nolte's writing this for Breitbart, he identifies this migration as being affluent, white, female leftists. Affluent, white, female leftists. That acronym is AWFL. How does he pronounce it? Awful. AWFL. So now you're up to speed. Gallup reports that 40% of awful women aged 15 to 44 would like to flee America permanently. This is 4 times higher than the 10% of awful, I'm going to help you again, affluent, white, female leftists, 10% of awful women who said the same thing in 2014. Back in 2014, the fact that 10% of awful women wanted out of America was not an outlier with the rest of the population or other demographics. Basically, everybody, about 10% of everybody, wanted to leave. But 40%? Let's see if we can diagnose this problem. Gallup reports the percentage of younger women wanting to move to another country first rose decisively in 2016, the final year of President Barack Obama's second term. That year, Gallup surveyed the U.S. in June and July after both parties' presumptive nominees were set for the November election, which Donald Trump went on to win. Desire to migrate continued to climb afterward, hitting 44% in President Joe Biden's last year in office and remaining near that level in 2025. The growing trend in younger women in the U.S. looking to leave their country is not evident in other advanced economies. Among all adults, the number who wish to exit America permanently is 20%, a near record, but that's primarily due to these unhappy, awful women. Only 19% of men age 15 to 44 want to leave, but 40% of the women involved in a lot of their lives want to get out. And women age 45 plus only want to migrate at a 14% rate compared to 8% of men in the same age range. So the grass is always greener on the other side. And I'm telling you, this is a thing because I have seen on the web like biography stories of young women going to other countries. And it's a panacea. Right? They're saying it's just absolutely wonderful. And they go and they teach English as a second language. And I saw this perfectly lovely young Black woman living in Japan. Her apartment was like this big, but she was loving it. She was experiencing a different culture. Everybody treated her with great respect because she was a teacher. And you know what? This could be a positive thing. It's not all the blue-haired crazies going to do it. There's going to be some women who just go, you know what? There's too much anxiety here. I'm going to go somewhere else where things are low-key. Japan's a good choice. Let's see what happens. We'll follow this story. And follow, that's a good idea because I want you to follow 647. I want you to like it. I want you to save it. I want you to make comments about it. I want you to push it out. But most of all, I want you to congratulate yourself for getting through another work week. It's Friday. It's Friday. Some of you have already gone. You're already doing the weekend. right? So let's get the blessing going. Dear Lord God Almighty, thank you for watching over us this week and giving us a positive landscape with productive things happening. And so I ask you, dear God, to bless this fellowship of truth seekers trying to help solve the famine of truth. So God bless you and have a fantastic weekend. And there's going to be mailings coming to you. One in particular, I think you're really going to like. Okay, thank you very much. Take care.